We're going to do a real quick league average because something that sort of went under the radar, with all the Paul talk, was that the Bulls, at long last, finally made their play for a shooting guard. And, okay, let's just get that graphic in there. And the guard is Richard Rip Hamilton. I am not a huge fan of this, mainly because of the way that Hamilton is used, which is basically to kind of the way that they use Kyle Korver, but just closer in. I think that it takes up a lot of space near the basket, and in that kind of medium range, and condenses the defense. And I don't know if it's a great fit for the Bulls. Although, to be fair, I mean, if you put Brewer out there, that's also inviting defenses to sink in. So, Zach, what did you think of this trade? Do you think it really makes a big difference for them? Does it take them over the top?
I think it helps. I still think that Rip has some game left. I think that he was, in a horrible situation the last couple of years, and he didn't handle it well, but you can understand why he wouldn't play hard with as bad as they were and as dysfunctional as they were. I think strategically they need to add wrinkles to the offense, bringing him off screens, kind of doing what you do with Korver, maybe a little bit more active, a little more spread out, and at the same time running those picks closer to the basket. That way he's curling 18 feet instead of 22 feet or 23 feet. So I think that can work. For the most part, it's just an upgrade of offensive options. Like, you're not praying that Keith Bokens doesn't shoot a curveball, or you don't have to worry about Ronnie Brewer taking a shot anymore. I just think it's a more competent offensive option.
Hamilton's a good defender.
He's not a bad defender. And I just think you can add a wrinkle to the offense that they didn't really have before, and so if you adjust the system to fit him 10, 15 minutes a game, you're giving yourself a little bit better chance offensively.
Yeah, and I think that there's also, and this is something that, I guess was a possibility last year, but Thibodeau didn't seem that interested in it, and that was to take Rose off the ball and have him as a secondary action. You can use Hamilton to sort of loosen things up. He's a good, one dribble pull-up, one dribble pass shooter. So, putting Rose on the weak side and maybe having the second pick and roll over there, which is something the Heat did a lot last year, could be something and that the Celtics have done historically. So that would be something I would look for from Thibodeau in that offense.
Yeah, and Rip is really good at it coming off the screen, and when the defense over rotates, over closes out on him, he can take that dribble to the side, free himself up for a jumper. So it's not just spot up shooting, per se. There's a little bit more movement in the offense that you can get off the dribble. He's not going to drive it to the basket, but he can get free if they close out too hard.
Right. Yeah, and he's probably a more reliable ball handler than Korver. I'd have to look at the numbers, but I just remember him making that dump-off pass off the curl really well because he's so tall. So he does, while he doesn't create in isolation, he does create things for your team. And, it's a net win. And I guess who will they let go? Bogans, you think, or Brewer?
I actually think they'll keep him. I mean, why not have a stable of defenders? He is a good enough ball handler, because when Ronnie Brewer's out there, if he dribbles the ball, it just stays on the ground. It never bounces back up. So that's actually a huge help.